Grand Rising, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Cleopadra Sophia the Bodhi.
How you
Am I
doing?
saying body right? Like, I feel like
Well,
I'm
it's
not.
really Bodhi,
Oh,
but
Bodhi, right.
what it's a double entendre. So it's like Buffy the
Okay,
Body,
yeah,
but it's
right.
really a Bodhi. So it's both are
Bodhi,
correct.
Bodhi. Okay. Well, good. At least I'm semi-correct.
Yes, no, both are correct. You could. What was that joke? I've heard it said both ways. Who used to say that? It was like oh man, I can't remember what show that was on, but it used to be on a sitcom, and the person would always say, "I've heard it said both ways," but it was always one of the ways was never the right way. Oh gosh, I'm old. Sorry, I had a boomer moment.
Let's see. I'm trying to see which Psych? Was it Psych?
Oh,
No.
it was Psych.
Was
It
it
wasn't
Psych?
a boomer moment. It was yes. Psych is like one of my favorite shows ever. So yes, it was Psych. Yes,
Nice. Yeah, I googled it
yes.
obviously because it's
Oh,
I'm not I'm
of
not
course.
aware
You've
of.
never seen. I'm a psych. I watched it when it first came out. I have all the seasons on DVD. Like I'm like yeah. Of course I would say that.
Yeah,
So
I was not when I was young, I wasn't able to watch many shows. Actually, we had like one TV in the living room and it was
yeah.
just basic cable. So my I didn't really get into, I guess, Hollywood per se in terms of the shows,
Right.
movies and all that until maybe like high school, but even then it was like still the basic channels. So like we would see the
No, I
kids
was the
that
same
had like
way.
Disney Channel. There was kids growing up. I remember that they had all these channels and it was like magic. It was like a whole different reality because I
Oh
was used to
yeah.
PBS Kids with
Oh, me
Magic
too.
Tales and
Uh-huh.
Arthur.
Arthur, obviously. Gotta
and then
have
you see
Arthur on
and then
there.
you see Disney was like Halloween Town. Disney
Right.
Disney back then, especially I would say like at least in my age range, the early 2000s, mid 2000s, but really early 2000s was really good. Now, obviously looking back, I'm sure there was a lot of manipulation that they were doing, but
Right.
the programming in terms of the quality of the programming was very good. It was really
Yeah.
strong.
No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I didn't grow up
Um,
with Psych came out in like '04, so I was in college. I was already or '07
Psych
or something. So I
was Psych I think it was like it was on CBS or like it was I think wasn't it like
it was
mainstream
on sort
whatever they
of.
call it
I
like
think it
when the
was
TV
on
show goes like
USA Network.
mainstream.
It was on
Oh,
USA
okay.
Network. It was on USA. So I think I was in college and that's why I had cable because I certainly didn't have it growing up. When True Blood came out, I had to go to my cousin's house and binge watch like several seasons in a row because
So
I didn't
you
have HBO or anything
so
like that. So
you were the original binge watcher.
oh yeah, because I had to. It's like, y'all got HBO. I'm gonna come over for the weekend, catch up on, a couple seasons here, a couple seasons there until like I was current, and then I would just go over to someone's house, when the show came on. So yeah,
Right.
that was me, freeloading TV watcher. So yeah,
Hey,
but Psych is a great show.
you got it to stay plugged in.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I did not grow up with any of that stuff. But speaking of growing up without, we really need to talk about crisis management because I don't think people have the skills to manage crises. I feel like knowing how to manage crises will make you um the likelihood of you having to manage a crisis goes down when you know how to do it. And I think they've just like totally removed this as a skill from people. So as people see things like crumbling around them, I don't think they have like even an idea of how to make a plan. Like I saw a post earlier, I was watching a little short on here, and the guy was like you guys are too stupid to be poor. Like I really hope that you never get poor because you're just too stupid to make it work. Like that kind of like energy seems to be going around pretty heavily.
Oh, so wait, so What was he saying? The too stupid to be
The
poor?
guy said that these people are too stupid to be poor. Like, if you have a lot of money, like you, like, okay, let's look at the whole EBT issue, right? Because I did a thread on that as well. But let's look at the EBT issue. Um, these, I don't know, wealthy middle class people who have never had to use government assistance think that there's no rules to getting government assistance and anybody who walks in the door can get it. That's absolutely not how it works at all. Like, it's very, very complicated, and you're not even adding the complications of if you're someone who doesn't live near a grocery store. Like, they're not even like they don't even understand how vastly difficult this getting food could actually be when you don't have access to a car, you don't have access to a local grocery store, fresh vegetables and stuff. Like, there's a lot of things going on in this country, but you have all these like entitled white conservatives mostly that are basically like, yeah, nobody should be able to get anything off of SNAP or EBT or any assistance except like beans and rice. But like, you die if you only eat beans and rice. You're supposed to eat rice for breakfast, rice for lunch, rice for dinner. Like, these people are being, retarded, hard R. Like, it doesn't work like that. um there's like requirements. And so if you're one of these people who have never had to use benefits, then let's say you fall on hard times, you're one of these stupid people that's going to be out here homeless on the street for no reason when there's lots of programs that could potentially help you. You, instead of like doing some research, finding some help, you will just be like, well, I'm gonna give, what was that Fun with Dick and Jane, where the people just gave up their house and was like, well, just walk away from the house. We're not paying this bill anymore. Or they paid the mortgage, but they couldn't have any electricity or something like that. It's like, don't y'all know that there's like things that can help you like when you have problems? It's befuddling to me actually. But I guess seeing how these people respond, if they were ever in the middle of a crisis, their first answer would be to turn to the government. And they have made the government their god. Like, in this particular behavior, like the way that they're playing this out, they have made the government their god. Now, there's a lot of videos going around TikTok where they have like black women, especially, again, attacking the black woman, and black women are complaining about the fact that there's going to be no EBT. But the whole thing about that is that most people don't get EBT benefits paid out on the first. It doesn't work like that. Like, most states have rolling dates. So a few people get it on, if you're, it's usually based on like the letter of your last name. So they're complaining about the benefits not coming on the first, but most people don't even get their benefits on the first. Like, it just doesn't work like that. You know
Well,
what I mean?
what's insane is, so I saw it was a video of a black lady, what seemed to be at one of these EBT, one of these like I guess where one goes to figure out the EBT stuff, this government
Right.
office, and
Right.
she was like, "You can't do this to me." Like, she basically started to freak out because she said she had to feed 8 kids, and then lo and behold, I clicked the profile. It's a comedian. It's a black comedian.
Exactly.
So I'm
Exactly.
I'm
Because they're
like I'm
making
like what? I'm like, how can you be like basically denigrating women, denigrating the black race, and like just there is zero evidence. There's zero, because what she's essentially doing is, obviously she's putting it on TikTok, so it's going all over the place. So people obviously are not going to do the minimal work to be like, oh,
right.
is this real or not? Because obviously people are still in this belief that everything is real. Although I think AI is changing that significantly, but people still are prone to believe. The second thing is, these are the types of videos that end up going viral on other social platforms.
Exactly.
So, but that doesn't have the TikTok logo. So it's like in on TikTok, you could basically see, oh, it's a comedian, even though I didn't see anything funny about the video, but okay, it's a comedian. But when it's distributed to other sites, that's propaganda. And that's
Yes.
propaganda to make the black woman seem bad, crazy,
No.
erratic, I mean, just whatever themes it is that they're trying to push. And and it's just, for me, it was crazy to realize it's a black woman comedian doing this. Why so
Right.
intricate? Why so
Because of a
why so
because of a
orchestrated?
black person, if a black person saw it, we would recognize it immediately as a joke. Like we would
Oh.
recognize it as a joke. The only people who think it's serious are people who don't know black culture. So this is why certain things don't supposed to be circulated outside of our community, because we wouldn't first of all, there most some first of all, a lot of black people don't even know how to navigate the system. So just keeping that aside, because there's a huge number of black people who their parents, they never had to navigate the system, so they wouldn't understand it, but they would still be able to pick up the clues that it was supposed to be a joke. Like, especially, they went down to an office to apply for food stamps. You don't do that anymore. There is no office. You apply online. So if they're talking about you got to go down to an office, that's automatically a joke line. Like, that's a laugh track. But if you don't know how the system works, you think that that's real. That's it's like those type of little things that, again, inside the culture you'd be able to pick up on, but outside it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
So
right. I mean,
so you
outside, yeah, it makes, because, well, it's not even, yes, it's not that it doesn't even make sense. It's that it's 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 not even about the details. It is a skit of a black woman getting angry, upset, and like demanding to be, to speak to the manager. And that's what, like, in many ways, the white man, and this, it's more this like right wing Nick Fuentes type
right,
vibe people, that's crack for them. That just adds to the stereotype of what it is. So they're the ones that are now, I'm not saying they're pushing this specific video, but like, it's it's really, it's like basically everybody's biases, their own, because, as you said, the people in the culture, they're gonna laugh it off. They're gonna, although the thing is, it would just, okay, well, regardless, like, everyone's biases are going to be uh solidified with these types of videos that is now
right,
perceived as comedy. And
right,
like, and we see this all the time now, especially on X. Like, most of these videos of a Karen freaking out, or some white guy being racist, it's all comedians. Like, it's
right,
it's all
exactly,
just actors that are like playing these roles. And I don't know how they get paid, but their focus is virality. Their focus is
right.
reaction. Their focus is triggering as many people as possible to believe whatever stereotypes it is that we are basically, utilizing to get the maximum amount of
Ah!
reaction. And
Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to make
That
sure
was.
you're okay.
I'm okay. I'm just like, there's this big water bug, and I don't have anything to spray it. Just Florida problems. Just go ahead. I'm sorry. I should have muted my phone before I started stomping
um,
around.
no, it was great. Uh, so okay, so I guess, passing that is, before we really get into the crisis management, although I think this is all part of it, is
Yes.
you tweeted about, um, that your job is George Soros's title in the old empire. That
Right.
was very interesting in terms of, well, what is George Soros's title in terms of what does he do? What
Right.
does he really do in the old empire? Because I think that revolves a lot around crisis management. I mean, he's like the kingpin in crisis management, both in creating
Right.
the crisis as well as, reducing it, managing,
No.
flowing with it, basically making money off these crises.
Right. Exactly. There we go. I got it. I'm sorry. This is part of the crisis management. Yeah, because what I was thinking about, just in general, is that there has to be a funder. And so when you look in the Bible, especially like in Jesus' story, and you're trying to figure out who was bankrolling Jesus. He was just running around all these places, no job, no nothing, and you're supposed to like just, you know, how was he feeding these people? How was he getting anything to do any of this stuff? And so when you look into that part of the story a little bit, you find out that he had women, basically Mary Magdalene, Mary of Cleopas, and a few other Marys, because his Mary was a title. He had these women that was basically following him around, Mary Martha, that was following him around and making sure these men had everything they need to do what their kingdom building. And so, you know, I have been thinking about this whole concept of like, um you know, how do you build an empire? Because like I told you, in 2022 we did a fast, and the fast was a take back the kingdom fast. And basically from that fast I saw the people who were trying to quote unquote take back the kingdom, but I was like, these are not people who should be in charge of anything. So it was at that point that I started looking into funding mechanisms, like how do you, it's because it's not just the funding, it's also paperwork. Because if you leave one empire to go to another empire, you have to show that the books have been balanced. Like if you're technically, if you become an American citizen, you're supposed to make sure you don't have anything outstanding in the country that you come from, because you're leaving that country and you're going to another country. This is why they started using passports. The passports were to indicate that you were leaving your country of origin and that you had permission and authorization of the God of that country to travel to other places. Like that's the spiritual like connotation of a passport. And so with that in mind, I have just been thinking like, okay, how do we fund this? How do we structure this? So I've done all of this paperwork stuff to get in position to be like the bank, like to be the bank. But then it's like also on an emotional level, what does that look? What this day? Okay, I can't talk about that right now. Okay.
You said to be the bank?
Yeah, to be the
Okay,
bank. Someone
nice.
has to be the bank. Like, you know, you have a Bank of England, a Bank of this. Every
Right.
country has a bank. As a matter of fact, most of the wars that were fought in America have to deal with the establishment of the Bank of America, First Bank of America, Second Bank of America. That's where Hamilton was involved in all of his nonsense. So this whole concept of having a, and even like you see how people talk about the central banks, right? And how the when the central banks come in and take over and all this stuff happens and all this changes. And so it's like, okay, well, if that's a particular issue, like this whole concept of this weird banking stuff that they're always like ruining countries over, trying to get everybody to function under this one world banking system, then there has to be a banker for the Holy Imperium. But it can't just be anybody who's the banker. It needs to be somebody who understands what's going on. Like, you can't, this is like where you have your Rockefellers and all, they were the bankers. They were the bankers. They were the brokers. They assigned themselves every job. And so it's not that our banking system in America is broken. It's not. It's that the people are running it are wicked. Like I can go on and on about my interactions with different organizations, but they're just wicked. They refuse to, they're gangsters, right? They refuse to follow the rules. So whoever is your banker also got to be your number one gangster. That's what I learned from this American system.
Yep.
You can't
Right.
have just anybody running your bank because they're gonna run right over you. You have to be willing to, hey, go and get my money. I don't want to hear it. Tell that
Yeah,
person to give me
because
my
then
money.
right, because then you'll take out loan, or the market will take out loans from you, and
Right,
they'll say, "No, fuck you. I'm not gonna pay. I don't care."
right,
So you got to have the big
exactly,
guns. You got, as
exactly.
Roosevelt says, speak
Carry a
softly
big
and carry
stick.
a big stick. Uh-huh. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, because if not, they'll just run all over you. And imagine we've got this little imperium that we're trying to build here, which is holy, consecrated, set apart, which means we can't really be involved in a system. Like we came to an this is a like an existential problem that I've been going back and forth with over the last 3 years on the side of the paperwork and all of that. It's like, how do you be a part of their system without being overcome by their system? Because even the bankers have banks. Like you think that, oh, you go to a bank and that's the bank. No, the bankers have bank. That's what like the Fed is, the Federal Reserve Bank. So like every bank that comes as a real bank has to come through this Federal Reserve. And so tie that in with my research on entrepreneurs from black entrepreneurs from the turn of the century, and you do research into some of the different financial systems that they were running. Like there was a lady in Richmond, she had the very first black bank basically, and it was a penny bank. So people just deposit their pennies. Her bank was so big, they basically burned it down to take it out. Like this is the kind of stuff that they, I mean, always do to people when they want to get them out. But yeah, they burnt down the whole bank just to be able to take her out. This is the kind of stuff that like happens. So it has to be somebody who's not only gangster enough. That's why I was like, I want them to try my gangster because they're gonna see what's gonna happen to them if they try me. You know, you have to be like that, but you also have to be spiritual enough to say, let me get a black candle, because they're gonna have to go. Like we're done negotiating. You got to be willing to even cut off your own family members, whoever, if they playing with you and playing with your money. And so you just can't have anybody do that. That's why I was like, well, and that's if you look at these big NGOs and all this stuff, that's all they do. They're not see. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about what George Soros actually does. He does not actually spend his money. What these NGOs do is they have an account with money in it. Okay, with that account that they have that has money in it, they use that to get credit. Just like we were talking, what was that last week about the guy with the credit cards and the points and all of that. That's what these NGOs, these George Soros and all of them, that's what they do. They literally use the money they have as collateral to get credit. And then when they get the credit, what they do is they put together some little philanthropic organization and they go to like a USAID and then they get guaranteed money. So now they've gotten money from, so they may like seed fund somebody to get started, because if you don't know anything about government contracting, if you're going to get a contract to do something with the government, especially like something that involves people, you have to have the money in the bank to cover about 2 years of funding, because when you start a contract, you basically not going to get paid out from the government for 2 years. At least depending on state, it could be longer than that. Like DC, it could be 2.5, almost 3 years. That's what I've seen. But basically, it's gonna take about 2 years before they ever cut you a check. But once they start cutting you a check, this is what Basint and all of them discovered at the Treasury. Once they start cutting the checks, they never stop. Even if the contract stops, listen to what I'm saying. Even if the contract stops, the checks never stop. And so it's very lucrative. It was very lucrative to get into one of these positions because the checks never stop. And so if you're George Soros, you've got 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 of these little organizations that you use your credit in the bank as collateral to get them started. Once the checks start rolling into the government, they pay you back. You haven't spent a dime. Now you have all these organizations that you yourself seeded, so that way they're going to do what you say. So if you say, look, I need y'all to work on this, I need y'all to work on that, y'all do whatever little stuff y'all want to do, that's cool. But I also need you to do this. I also need you to handle this business over here. Oh, we need people to go and protest. We need people. We need signs. We need T-shirts. Oh, we need some kids. Do a contest. Give away $10. Have these kids come in. Make them feel special. Put it on at a nice place. Stay extra. Buy yourself the best food. Get them some trinkets. And now you've got a whole generation of people devoted and dedicated to your specific goal, like what you want. And you haven't, you spent almost nothing. Like, and you haven't spent anything. No. You haven't spent anything. The only thing you extended was credit. You didn't actually spend any of your money. all of them do this. This is what they do. They don't make money off their regular companies. They make money off of, used to make money off of whatever nonprofit thing that they were running. Plus, that's not even to get into the tax credits that you get from running a nonprofit, and also other tax benefits you get from running a nonprofit. So if you have a for-profit company, and I used to teach this to people, if you have a for-profit company, you always have a non-for-profit company that you run side by side. So if you have staff on your for-profit company, you have them work for the nonprofit company or you have them work for your for-profit company for benefits, because the IRS has a very generous benefits package that you can give. You pay them from the nonprofit, you write all of that off as tax write-offs, and basically your for-profit company, like a Microsoft, on paper looks like it's making all of this money, but that's because it's not paying anybody from the for-profit side. It's paying them from the not-for-profit side. So this is like known and well established. But who knows this system well enough, just a regular person, that they would be willing to implement it, number one, and knows how to protect it. I feel like I'm the only person to do that. So that's my pitch, to be the George Soros of the Holy Emperium.
Okay, so the last part. So okay, so based off of, so for the Holy Imperium, the George, like, your position is the banker slash, because I mean George Soros is not a banker,
The
right? Or,
mastermind. He's a
oh, the
banker. He's the
mastermind, right?
mastermind. He's a mastermind. He's literally the one who sets the, and that's what the women always do. They set the tone.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
weird that he's,
right.
of course, trying to take on a feminine position, but like I told you, all of these people want to be women. These men are jealous of women,
Mm,
and so instead of letting a, when you, like, for example, the whole Black
yeah,
Lives Matter
right.
thing, right? That was technically ran by women, but on the ground, it was run by women on the ground, like, but even their leader appeared to be this woman, right? But she was one of these queers, and so they're a little bit different, but still, it was a woman and woman's energy. That's why it spread so fast. What other movement have you ever seen in America run by a woman?
Yeah, that's crazy. I
None.
guess
Like,
maybe
look
the
at the civil
suffrage, maybe
rights
the
movement.
suffrage movement.
Yeah, but I mean, was Eleanor Roosevelt really a woman? I don't know. That's up to for debate in my eyes,
Well,
but whatever. Like, yeah,
Is Soros even a man?
is he? I don't know. That's a good question. These people are always LARPing in
Because
other energy.
all
It,
these elite I at least I believe a lot of them are inverted.
yeah, it could be. I mean, that would be the only thing
Like,
that
look at
would
what's his
explain
name?
it.
What's that, like, government strategy guy? Kissinger. You look at Kissinger's wife.
Kissinger.
Kissinger's wife is a man. I'm almost certain Kissinger's wife is a man. She's like, she has
Well,
the skeletal structure of a man, very
of a
similar
man. Yeah.
to Bush's, the first Bush's wife, First Lady
Right.
Bush.
Right. Barbara.
Yeah, where you yeah,
Barbara.
you look at her, and it's, now I think, though, I will give them credit, that generation did have a lot of testosterone. Like, the women of that
Yeah.
generation had a lot of testosterone. But either way, um, okay. Well, going back to the topic with of the Sorrow. So,
Right. Something was going
from
on.
that, with the Holy Imperium, um, like, how do you see on the banking side, slash also kind of what Soros was doing with, as you said, is like the orchestrator, right? The kind of the
Right.
puppet, the
The
master puppet.
mastermind.
How do you see that developing? Because, so a big thing that I've been really thinking about and trying to figure out is, in this new world order, the the currency is going to be energy, but it's this
Right.
ethereal type of energy. It's like this vibrational energy that it's kind of like you can feel it if you're in tune, but um you can't go to the store and pay with energy. You can't, like, buy goods with energy, at least not in the way that I believe it can be. So, but this requires a massive transition and into the unknown in terms of going from like paper money into this more of like this energetic um payment currency system. Now, that does not mean money's just going to go away, because I don't think money necessarily ever really goes away. But uh, so then to be the banker, like to be the bank essentially of the empire, it's a combination of the physical and the spiritual, which is obviously why it would make the most sense for you to be in charge of it and running it and leading it, because I think um, so what I'm trying to figure out is, what is that? What I think whatever
So
that bridge
okay,
is the bank. Like that's why the bank is
right,
going to be so
okay,
valuable, because it's going to be the bridge.
right. So again, I've been thinking about this for 3 years. This specific problem. There is biblical precedent for this. Prior to, well, let me just not even go to that. The biblical precedent is Job. In the book of Job, part of his story is that he basically writes letters of credit, okay, to anybody who comes to him. Anybody who came to him needed money, wanted to start a business, trying to do something, whatever. He writes them a letter of credit. The person, and it's so this goes back to our discussion of the king, like the how do you become the king? How do you become the priest? Because it's in that same vein. When you get a letter of credit from a king, like let's say I get a letter of credit from the King of England, right? I would bring that letter of credit to America, let's say to New York, and go to the bank, and they would give me money because I have a letter of credit from the King of England saying that I'm good. And then because what happens with these letters of credit is basically that whoever issued the letter of credit is the one you're going to have to go and collect from. Okay. And so let's say, for example, I start a business, they gave me $1,000 and I end up making $10,000. I'm able to give them their $1,000 back. I didn't have to utilize. I didn't have to. It's not called utilizing, but it's like I didn't have to enforce my letter of credit, meaning they didn't have to take it and try to cash it in with somebody. They got to just. I got it back probably. And then I went about my business. But let's say I got the letter of credit and essentially instead of making $1,000, I lost $1,000 plus $1,000 more. So I'm $2,000 in the hole. Well, they would take that letter of credit that you issued them. They would close your account and say, we can't issue you any more funds. They would close the account. They would take that letter of credit and then they would try to enforce it. So you can enforce it in one of two ways. You take it to the King of England and you're like, yeah, you wrote this letter of credit for this guy and he ran off with the money. Here's the bill. Or you take it to a creditor who knows the King of England personally and you let them enforce it. and that's what our bills are. This is literally how the system is already currently. Everything I'm discussing is how the American system currently runs. It's just that they refuse to acknowledge the rules. That's why I said we don't even need new rules. If we just follow the rules that are already in place, this place would just be running perfectly. This is already established. It's called the full faith and credit of the United States. When you write a check or when you have a dollar bill on it, it says the full faith and credit of the United States. As long as the United States
Right.
government has credit, you have credit. That's how this whole system
Mm,
is. It's all based on credit. And it's like in the streets, it would be like street cred. Yeah, so and so said you was good. Okay, let me go ahead and do that. And if you recommend a
right,
person
right,
who's not
right.
good, they'll go back to the person who recommended them and say, "Hey, you said such and such was good." It's like, all right, well, let me just settle their tab. You know what I mean? That's
Uh-huh,
the
uh-huh.
responsibility of the banker. So when we endorse somebody
Mm,
energetically,
right.
that is us enforcing or spreading out the bank. Like we're saying this is the person,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's
Right,
what I did. I
right.
said,
Yep.
you're the person, you're the leader, you're the person. Like that was me expressing
Mm,
my energetic bank, like my energetic line of credit. I energetically gave you street cred, right? Because what happened?
Right.
You went, you
Uh-huh.
started dealing with the Olympians and all of that stuff. They didn't have you running around in circles and doing all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Had me do. I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like this is so you didn't again, this is how it works energetically. We're just it's energetic lines of credit. Now, does it need to be
Mm-hmm.
physical lines of credit? Yes, it's gonna have to be
Yeah,
real
right.
money
Of
too.
course.
But
Uh-huh.
you have to get a handle on the energy part before you can even get into the money part. Like you have to understand how that part of it works. So
Oh,
imagine
wow. Yeah, I
so
mean, this is it. Exactly.
so imagine if, let's say for example, we find somebody who has some tech thing that they're working on that energetically, oh, this is the right time for it, it's in alignment with the calendar, the astrology, the person has good placements, all this stuff, right? We've done our energetic background check. And let me pause right there. The guy that I used, the Hebrew Israelite guy that I used to follow and be a part of his little group online, he would charge like $300 for an energetic background check. And basically that's what I do. But I'm not charging. First of all, he wasn't even giving as much information as I was giving. He was giving basic information. But me, I'm giving real information. So that's what he called them. He called them like spiritual background checks. So you do the spiritual background check on a person, you make sure they're straight, you know, like all the little stuff about them. Okay, boom, they got a product. Okay, all right, how much money do you need for your product? Then you go in with them and you get them to price all this stuff like a regular business, right? Because banking is just a business. So you get them to price it, you get them, you know, this and that. Okay, then they have the product, they send the product to us, they let us put our energy into it, all deep down, all the way down to the base technology of whatever it is, right? Then we're like, okay, we're going to push it into the internet. Like, okay, we start pushing it out, we start talking about it, whatever the case may be. Again, this is where your social proof comes in. We have a team, everyone on the team gets it. You have all of these reviews on your product, all of this stuff. We didn't go through no Amazon, we didn't go through no eBay, we didn't go through no Google, none of that. This is all in-house energy used to produce in-house products, and it could be all kinds of products from across the spectrum. It's about bringing those people in, getting them acclimated to the way that we operate within our system, and then letting them go and evangelize the Holy Emperium, right, on their own. Because we make them successful and then we say go. What did Jesus gave the 70 apostles the great commission? Go and make disciples of men. That's what we would do. Go make disciples of the Holy Emperium. Boom. It's very simple. Now, of course, there's a lot of complicated bits and pieces to it, but that's the basic idea.
Yeah, that's the infrastructure.
That's it. And for me, I want to invest. I think the biggest return on investment initially is streamers. These streamers are the new influencers.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have streamers that are devoted, just do whatever it is you do.
Mm,
Just when we need you to push something, we'll bring it to you. And it's
right,
not going to
right.
be against your ethics. It's not going to be bad. It's not going to be any of that. We just need you to push, you know, maybe one thing, maybe two things, whatever. That's it. Go be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, and so it's funny because one streamer in particular that I have been like following and really like supporting energetically, um, he stands out as one of, I mean, obviously we're gonna have many streamers, but like I think it'd be very awesome to identify 3 to 5 up and coming streamers, and up and coming in terms of, you know, they could have no viewers, but up and coming in terms of we
Right.
feel their potential.
Right.
We see their work and they're just not being supported. And as you can imagine,
Right.
especially, can you imagine how many streamers right now that are aligned, that are dope, that are awesome, that the system is like, no, we're not gonna let you. We're not gonna let you come up because there's something in their energy that is, because you see most of these streamers is it's a club. It's becoming a club. Where
Right.
at least on the top
Right.
side
It
of the
is.
streamers, it's like, okay, well, you got to be in bed with one of these casinos, and you got to be in bed
Right.
probably with one of these well-connected agencies. But as a result, you have all these other ones, Kick, because it was Twitch. Twitch was the one that was
Right.
owning the boat, but they got too monopoly happy, and they were just supporting like the
Right.
main streamers, and everyone else or anyone that would question outside of the mainstream was being taken out. So obviously you had all these other streaming sites up and running. But even then, a lot of this specific streamer that I'm thinking about that streams on Twitch and TikTok, he's really good at video games. Like, he has a very deep
Mm.
insight into the video game culture. He's played thousands of video games. He knows what's good, what's bad. Like, he would be a great advisor to these games because he knows what works, he
Right.
knows what doesn't work. But obviously, no one's listening to him. No one gives a shit about him.
Right.
So we would come in and basically immediately, I mean, obviously, study the whole game plan, right? Just like a bank would do if they're thinking about, are we going to give this person money? Do a thorough research, both energetically as well as also getting to know the streamer. And then
Right.
when it makes, in terms of once the research is good and everything is good to go, we go all in energetically as well
Yeah.
as obviously physically. I mean, this is, as you said, it's with the streamers. Yeah, we start with the streamers.
Is the easiest thing to start with, and the return on your investment energetically is huge, because if you have 10 people out there, and like, for what I was thinking, like, initially was to just buy like not even necessarily give them money, right? But to buy advanced streamer packs. Like, I don't know exactly what that means, but I saw somebody say it like, oh, somebody gifted somebody a streamer pack. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but I'm sure that sounds important. So if we have 10, 20, 100 streamer packs to give out, it's not money. So they still, it's not money, but it is what you need to make your stream look as advanced as these more advanced people. Because again, I don't know enough about streaming and all to understand, but I know about making videos because I've been making videos for 3 years, and nobody would invest energetically in my narratives at all on my YouTube channel. Like, nobody. Like, I think I just got up to 700 subscribers like this year. Like, literally, like, every time, like, I would do something and I'm like, man, these are great ideas, these are great products, this is really going to help people. No, the system don't want you to actually help people, so it would suppress my content and elevate other people's content. So I saw this happen over and over again when I saw other YouTubers who were similar to me in behavior but not quite in execution. They would get, all kinds of stuff, and I was like, oh, I see what's going on here. It's just me. And of course, I'm always talking about the Jews and all these other people they don't want us to talk about. So I don't care. I'm like, I don't care if nobody watches. It's not about that. I know my message is getting where it has to go. So I wasn't motivated by money. But you have these people, they would be motivated by a streamer pack. Like, again, I don't know what that means, but I saw this streamer say he was going to give this girl one, and her face lit up. And I was like, okay, like, that should be the thing then. That would be the easiest thing to start with. And then obviously your return on investment would be like, promote whatever this thing is, maybe have us on to talk about what we do in relation to what they do, or there is no strings attached. Listen, go out there, be fruitful and multiply.
Yep, right, exactly. Uh-huh.
And with no strings attached. Because when you have no strings attached,
They
people
pay
are
even
also
more.
not going
They
to
pay
forget
back
you.
even more.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because it's like when you say, hey, we're having a gala, we would like for you to attend and come talk about your thing. That's valuable. Having people to come talk at events about their specialty is extremely valuable. Because this is how you, again, it's how the social networking and the whole concept of the network marketing, that you have somebody interesting to come and give an interesting talk on their field of specialty. You draw a lot of people in that manner. So I mean, it doesn't even have to be like one of these things where you can quantify it. It could just be that is our scholarship program. We give out streamer packs to up and coming streamers. I mean, and obviously established streamers, we give them something else because they're already established. They know what their equipment is. But I'm talking about going in on ground level, like finding people who, wow, you'd be really great at streaming. Let me see you do about 10 streams, and then maybe I can get you a streamer pack. Like, again, using it, like, again, the networking, the whole emotional, like, there's a lot of I won't call them psychological games, but there's psychological triggers that you can use in people to get them to, again, we're trying to encourage people to be the best version of themselves possible. And also, and that is what is going to make them devoted to the Holy Imperium. If they're the best, if you're the best version of yourself, how could you not devote yourself to love?
Yeah, and also when and what and the thing is, people know if you played a role in helping them be the best version of themselves. Like
Right.
it's not possible to be delusional or removed from that. It becomes very
No.
obvious because even if we might become delusional in terms of giving the proper people credit, God, God makes it known.
Exactly.
God makes it known. And that's what I've been noticing with especially people from my past is is they are beginning to wake up to the reality of
Mm.
who the fuck I am. And it's God that's haunting them. It's God who's reminding
Right.
them, you have to go back to that person. You have to go back to that person and do, whatever it is that they're being called to do. But like it's God that is in many ways enforcing this because it is his kingdom.
Right.
This is what is in alignment. So obviously God is going to be coming here. He's the like so that's what's so it's like you're the banker, but like the guy that's holding the stick, that's God. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
we don't
oh
have to do that
yeah,
part.
it's like oh you wanna play with the Holy Imperium? You wanna play with the banker? Okay, watch this. And then
And
out of nowhere, boom.
there's biblical precedent for this because, again, with dirty old Abraham, when he went into Egypt, he had Sarah with him, and he told the Pharaoh that Sarah was his sister and not his wife. And Pharaoh took Sarah as a wife, and he was going to sleep with her. And the angel rode his
Oh
ass all night.
yeah.
Not This didn't happen just once, not just once, not just twice, three times with Abraham, and with Isaac it also happened once. Because Isaac, his wife was Rebecca, she was also a baddie. He did the same thing as his father. But again, like I told you, Isaac had some kind of a problem, and so that one didn't go the same way that Abraham's did. But yeah, yeah, we don't have to. There's
Wow.
biblical precedent for it. When you are building the empire, again, when you have the covenant with the creator, the consecration with the creator that this is what you're going to do, hey, can't nobody get in the way. This is why these people are probably sick right now. They're what was they say? They're sick and throwing up and all kinds of stuff. They're sick right now because somebody's going to have to pay. If I'm stepping into that role of being the banker, that means my bank have to be activated.
Uh-huh.
You
Uh-huh.
can't,
Yeah, right.
and
And if it's
I've
not,
actually
everything
done
around it crumbles.
exactly. And so that was where I really got the idea, because I was like, I've done all this paperwork with the government, and they're basically like blackballing me. Like, they're not processing my paperwork. I never got my tax return. Like, they're really just like decided that they're not going to do any of my stuff. Okay, that's cool. So I was thinking, well, that means my money not supposed to come from them. And if my money doesn't come from them, what's the point? Because literally the point of the federal government is to give people money. That's literally the point of like, I know these white conservatives and all these people, they think the government is for other stuff. No, the actual like point of the government is to give people money, because the very first words in the Constitution is we the people. We the people, not the government. We the people, to build a more perfect union. Have nothing to do with what the government wants, what they think they should have, how they should do it. Their ultimate goal is to build a perfect union. And if they're not going to do that, that's just fine. That's what the Holy Emperium is going to do, which means they're irrelevant, which means they need to be dissolved. And it's quite likely that they will be dissolved as a result of not paying me. Like it's highly likely. They won't process my paperwork. The government would, I feel like all of this is antagonizing them. This how long ago like they should have gave me my money. Like they're just like, oh
Who?
well,
So what's antagonizing them? Like right now, what the situation?
With the government being closed.
Mm.
This is an embarrassment. This is an international embarrassment. This is why I texted you about the whole thing with Jamaica. Imagine you have a potential total loss going on in your realm, in your neck of the woods, in an allied country to America, being that it's the Caribbean, right? It's right here in the neck of the woods. The leader of this country is gone. The Congress is closed. Basically, the federal government is closed. You got the people here who normally would be getting ready to gather humanitarian aid, use their money to do whatever to help these people, that are all like, well, I'd love to help them, but I don't have any money. Like my EBT is going to be cut off. You know what I mean? Like I'm not I might have to help my neighbor. I can't really help anybody else right now because if my neighbor is hungry, I got to feed my neighbor because they're going to kill me if I don't. So you're not going to get the humanitarian aid response you would normally get for this total loss. That we our energy did bring it down, so I don't think there's going to be that much loss of life. But as far as structures and all of that, it is a total loss in almost the whole country of Jamaica. So
That's insane.
yeah, it's almost a total loss. It's practically a total
Well, and
loss.
the thing is, this I see it symbolically as the con eh, the system has collapsed. So
Yeah,
people don't know who to ally with. They don't know who's the big boss. They don't know who's the big dog. They don't know who's the banker. They
right.
don't know who's the banker. So obviously, because the banker has now the money, the banker has the street cred basically from God, from the divine, from source, from the spirits. The spiritual realm is, yeah, we're banking with her. She's our
Right.
bank. So
Right.
because of that, because the system has collapsed, all these countries are basically being shown what happens if you just play the fence. There ain't no playing the fence now.
No.
And this, I
Mm-mm.
mean, you see it with how Colombia was speaking up, what's happening with Venezuela, what's
Right.
happening in Europe. Like all these small countries out of nowhere are acting up. And
Right.
and not in a bad way, but in a way where they're like, we're gonna maintain our independence. We're gonna maintain our sovereignty. Something happened with Jamaica. Something was going on or has been going on with Jamaica to get hit that hard.
Personally, I think that they were doing magic that they wasn't supposed to do. That's one part of it. The other part of it is, remember, Kamala Harris' great 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 grandfather is from Jamaica, and he is the one who established chattel slavery in Jamaica, in Brownstown. And so you have this human trafficker, Kamala, in her bloodline, which she was still human trafficking, but you have this human trafficker on a drunk tour around the country. Remember, she was supposed to be president when this storm happened. Okay. And so if she was president when this storm happened in her home country of Jamaica, she would have been totally justified in bailing them out, Hillary and Bill Clinton style, in Haiti.
Yes, right. Uh-huh. Yep,
And
exactly.
so, and that's one part of it. The other part of it is every 37 years, Jamaica gets a storm like this. Okay. The first storm happened in 1951. 37 years before that was 1914. And in 1914, a movie came out that's called like Tess and the Storm Chaser or something like that. It was like a silent movie. It rescued MGM. It was a huge, like, overwhelming success. This movie was. And then in 1951, a movie came out literally about the Roman Empire. So every 37 years, a movie come out that literally defines the year. And I would say for this year, it was Sinners. So imagine Sinners is a black movie, takes place in a black place where they were doing magic and it has all of this stuff. So I think that's what this is related to. They always do some kind of magic. And with the movies, movie magic, and as a result, where it goes back to Jamaica. So these could be like secret stories of Jamaica. They do have Obeah, because they call them Obia women who do magic. Like it's similar to like the voodoo that they do in Haiti, but it's a little bit different. And also remember, Jamaica was a part of the Haitian Empire. So Haiti slash France, like the one that Napoleon was fighting against, the whole Louisiana Purchase area and all of this, all of that was the French Haitian Empire. And they slowly but surely like got rid of the different pieces of their empire. But yeah, all of these places were a part of the Haitian Empire too. So there's still a French connection. There's still a English connection. There's all of these connections with all this stuff. But so that
And
could be
the people that stole the jewels in the Louvre, the French had been spying on them. Uh, they had basically identified the people, and they were acting like they didn't, because
what?
they were trying to find the culprit. Like they were trying to move up the chain of command to figure out who's behind this. And then the media leaked the fact that like the French government basically had found them, and then they had to immediately arrest the people that they were following, because the people basically got tipped off and they were ready to run. So the investigation to find out who was at the top basically got hindered significantly because of the news breaking. So I mean, France is really coming under intense attack.
Right,
It's not being allowed to, in many ways, I think, like defend itself.
right.
And if you saying that Jamaica's part of or was part of the Haitian Empire, I mean, that's another hit right there.
Right. Yeah. This is huge. I mean, it's a total loss. So you know how many people have vacation
Wow.
islands,
Yeah.
and now the storm is headed towards Cuba. I'm not putting no energy into Cuba because of the whole. I mean, not Maduro. That's Venezuela, but um,
Castro.
Castro.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the whole thing with them and how they treated the black people and all. No, no, you can't get. And that lady, what's that lady who she just died and she had she was in Cuba. Oh God, what that lady
She was a
Shakur?
singer. She was a
No, no,
singer.
no. She
Oh.
was she killed some cops in Jersey and then she ran to hold on, what is her name? Dang, what's her name? She just died. Um
Oh, Asata?
Asada
Asata Shakur?
Shakur. Yeah, Asada. There we go. Yeah, she killed some people in New Jersey, and Castro took her in as a refugee. I think she killed a
Oh,
police officer,
wow.
not just some people. It was a police officer and took her in as a refugee. And black people are like, oh, that's our sister, this and that. She killed someone. You guys are protecting a murderer because she was also part of like the Black Panthers and all of that kind of, civil that little post civil rights era when you had all of these militant black people running around here acting like lunatics. And so yeah, she also just died in Cuba. So I don't know what's gonna happen to them. I ain't putting no energy towards them because that whole regime need to be. They should have never hid that woman. So
Mm.
I feel like a storm was supposed to hit Cuba, but it wasn't necessarily supposed to hit Jamaica. And what they do is they like um if they know the storm is coming as a result of, to punish someone for something they did. So basically, let's say if this does have to do with Asada Shakur, right? And Cuba held her there, and protected her, quote unquote, until she died. Well, she's dead now. That means that the karma for hiding this murderer on your island have to be paid. So this is one of those examples where normally they would just jump timelines so they could avoid paying the cost. And they would send that storm to America to make America pay for stuff instead of them paying for their stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Right.
Because I know it's a little confusing. That's why I'm like, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
and
Do I need to
also
explain that more?
the as you said, in terms of if Kamala was in power, she would have bailed out Jamaica. So
Yep.
like that was also kind of on the karmic side, where it's like forcing the United States to to basically pay billions of dollars to Jamaica, because the government is obviously not on. But even if it was on, Trump is not going to be sending any money there.
Well, the
Um,
government is closed. What USAID has been dismantled. The government, this is why the Democrats were fighting so hard for USAID. They knew
mm,
this storm was coming. It happens every 37 years,
oh
like
wow, right.
clockwork.
Oh
They
my
knew
gosh.
it was coming. They were the USAID, because again, back to the whole George Soros example. All the Democrats got their little nonprofit set up too. They get these contracts, they don't do nothing. So
Yeah.
they were positioned to take advantage of this. This everything in America is about positioning, right? You have to be in position to take advantage of whatever crisis is coming. This is why I said we need to talk about
Mm,
crisis management. Part of it is being in position to take advantage of the crisis. What crisis are we in position to take advantage of? This system is falling apart at the seams. There is no leader. There's no priest. There's no king, there's no nothing. But we're going to have a return of the daily sacrifice, which means that the kingdom is going to be built around us. And everywhere we go, we're going to be protected. People are going to need that protection. They're going to feel
yeah.
it. They're going to be looking for it. They're going to know they
Uh-huh.
can't get it from their
Right.
church. They can't get it from. They're going to have to come to the Holy Imperium to get their protection. And imagine
Yes.
we
Right.
already have a place, again, all are welcome. This is not a closed circle. There's no initiation, none of that. But you can't come in here with your mess, because
Uh-huh.
the
Uh-huh.
gangsters are going to be at the gates to make sure, patting you down energetically. Hey, don't bring that. Who's that? Nah, that entity not allowed. They got to do some more work before
Yeah,
they can
like at
come
the
in here.
club, like at the club, like you
Yeah,
wearing shorts.
bouncers.
You wearing
Yeah.
shorts. Like
Mm-hmm.
you ain't coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We got bouncers, energetic bouncers, and there's precedent for that too. There's stories about how in the Sumerian pantheon they had these statues that stood around the gates of the empire, and when somebody got close to the statues, they would look like they were moving. Now these were
Mm.
huge 20-foot, 30-foot tall statues, and where they had glowing eyes and all this stuff. And so they would move. And so if you was walking up on this place, this town, you thought you was gonna come and start some trouble, they got all warriors as far as the eye can see, like the terracotta warriors as far as the eyes can see. You think you're gonna be trying to, you don't even know if they're real or not, because it's dark. It's dark. When you go to the club, it's dark. So if you see 1,000 niggas standing outside the club, you gonna walk up to the door? I don't think so. Or you gonna think twice. If you walk up to the
Uh-huh.
door,
Yeah,
you know
right.
you're gonna be straight. Because
And
if
when you
not,
get in, you ain't acting up.
no, because you know it's 1,000 niggas outside, all of them strapped. Okay, that's
Uh-huh.
exactly what I'm talking about. Like this is,
And
but
eager to beat up a punk.
and ready and ready, strapped and ready. Yes, locked and loaded, as they would say.
Locked and loaded. Yeah. Right, right,
So this is
exactly. And
why,
that's the thing with what you said with the protection is
right.
it's people are getting dragged.
Yeah,
And it's it's one thing to get dragged. It's not like being dragged is a bad thing. We all get dragged. We all have been dragged. That's just kind of part of the initiation process in terms of just experiencing this reality. But at least when we are getting dragged, we know that there's like a purpose to it. We know that
right,
that there's like a higher calling to what we're doing because we're part of the empire. These
right,
people are getting dragged and they don't know where to run to. They don't know where to like lay their weary head. And so, but obviously now, as we talked about earlier, with like God coming and basically like haunting them
Right.
to come back, is they know where it is. Or at
Right.
least the people that know us, as well as the people that have felt us in the past, they
Right.
know that it's us, or at
Right.
least it's becoming very obvious that it's us.
Right.
And then the people that don't know us, they just feel it. They
Right.
just feel it. They don't know what they're feeling, but they're feeling something.
Right. They're looking for it. Like when I very first started doing readings, and my friend, she was the very first person to get a reading from me. Like, I was brought onto that channel with those people because she was looking for somebody to give her a reading, and they brought me onto that channel and forced me to give readings. I wasn't even interested in stuff like that, but that's what the the creator is infinitely creative. So all kinds of things mountains can be moved literally for you to have what you want once you decide. And I've been talking about this for a long time. Most people won't make a decision. Like, you have to make a decision. Once you make the decision, the rest will come forward. That's why I was like, because literally I've been doing the paperwork to become a banker. I have a whole plan. I was researching private banks. I had done some, work with a guy who was starting his own private bank, but I didn't like his methodology, or I didn't think he really understood how to do it the right way. And so I've taken a lot of steps to be my own banker. Like, literally, that's what I've been working on. But I didn't know who it was for. I thought it was for my tribe. So that's why I was doing the whole tribal thing. And it's like, not that I'm not going to use what I learned from setting up the tribe for the Imperium, but it's just that I thought it was this thing over here. But now I'm kind of like, well, this is the infrastructure for it, but it wasn't for this thing that I thought it was for. It was for this other thing that is actually like exactly what it was designed for. Because I'm a small person, so I'm thinking small. Yeah, my tribe will have about 10 or 15 people in it, and I'm cool with that. Like, no, this is, because mind you, my tribe issued driver's license, identification cards, security like style, tags, all that. I know how to do all of that. All that stuff was a part of my tribe. So I have all of that skill, and all of those things are banking functions. It was the banks that issued passports. It was the passports were issued because of banks. Tags are issued right now because of banks. Driver's licenses are issued because of banks. All of these functions are functions of the bank. I just don't think people understand what a bank actually. America is nothing but a bank. Literally, the American government is a bank with a bunch of different departments, and they all function. That's why it's kind of stupid. If you have a treasury, you really don't need a Federal Reserve, because the treasury is the bank. But this is, neither here nor there. But the function of the government is actually a bank. And like, part of the problem with the function of the government being a bank is that people think the function of the government is liberty, it's protection, it's this, it's that. It's like, no, the function of the government is to facilitate the banking processes and procedures. And because they've basically derelicted their duty to the point of bankruptcy, basically, what is another word for that, they've abdicated the position. America is supposed to be the bank for the American people, we the people, right? They have abdicated their duty, and therefore there's nobody in charge. There's no priest, there's no king, there's no one left to be in charge of this giant sprawling American bank. So someone has to energetically pick up the baton and understand that the function of an empire is its banking. Like, that's the point. And so they've demonized banks, bankers, and the whole Rothschild thing and all these other people. They've demonized this stuff so much that if you just like try to explain to people that's what it's for, they don't want to hear it. They're like, no. Look at these libertarians, like some of the worst people on the internet. They just like, no, the government is just supposed to have limited functions. Like, building roads and bridges. It's like, okay, but like, actually, no, that's not true. They facilitate commerce, which is banking. Commerce is banking, okay? It's a part of banking. And so if the government is not facilitating commerce, then we don't have a government. And right now they're not, as long as the government has been closed, they're not facilitating the commerce of the government. So they've abdicated their position. And 30 days is all it takes to abdicate your position. And it's been longer than 30 days. No, it hasn't been long. On Friday it'll be 30 days, right? Because on the first it'll be no, Thursday, tomorrow. No, today's Tuesday. On Thursday it will be 30 days. Or Friday for sure it'll be 30 days. After 30 days the position is vacant. Like that's the actual like rules. And so if they don't open the government up by Friday, by hook or by crook, the government is abdicated. I mean, it was abdicated in 2019 when they had the government shut down for 35 days. So this government that has been functioning has only been functioning since 2019 and is about to be shut down again. Like it's almost like the people who are like in these positions right now, they don't understand the rules, like the actual like rules. And because we sealed the exits by unifying the timeline, they can't jump from time. Because what would they have done in the past, right? In the past, let's see. Oh, this is not on that calendar. In the past, they would have counted on the 30th of September. The moon was probably at, let me see, do I have the calendar for, no, that's November. Let's say that in Mount Olympus, using the Vedic or the Krishnamurti calculation, Libra was at 15, not Libra, Mount Olympus was at 15 degrees of Virgo, and American Troy, where the seat of the government is, was at 9 degrees of Libra. So basically, what they would do is they would switch back and say, no, we're going by the Krishnamurti calculation. And the Krishnamurti calculation is only this day, right? But it's like, no, you can't jump back and forth between calculations because we synchronize them. So they think they have, it's like 15, let's see, 15 and 20, that's 35, 6. It's like 36 degrees between no, it's not, that's too many. 15 is 30, no, it's like 30, it's like 30 some degrees between the Vedic calculation with the Krishnamurti and the tropical calendar calculation, which is what we use when we do, or Placidius, like when we do astrology here. So they would just jump back to the Krishnamurti calculation or the Vedic calculation and say, no, it's actually this day. And we sealed the exits. So they can't just jump around like the timeline raiders they are, colonizers they are, and say, no, we're looking at this timeline. No, we're on this timeline. No, we're on that timeline. Absolutely not. We synchronized all the timelines. And so the entities are going to be coming to them and saying, hey, you guys are about to give up your positions. Like the government is, again, when I told them they needed to open the government, I said, don't play with me. Open the government by the 12th day. We told them, like we warned them plenty. Now I know why, because they get to Friday, that, and symbolically, energetically, Friday is the day that Noah closed the ark. No, it was on Thursday, on the 30th. The 30th is the day that Noah closed the ark, and it started raining when he closed the ark on Thursday. So on Friday, that's when all the people started getting washed away. And so we're seeing that as a physical preview with what's going on in Jamaica, but we don't know where that storm is going, because when we asked for intervention, it pushed all the way west. It pushed as far west as it possibly could so that it didn't impact Jamaica the way that it was supposed to. But we don't know where that storm is. That storm is not taking no regular tracks. I've actually never seen a storm make a right hook. Like this, something is like this is not like one of these normal things. So we don't know where that storm is going. It could come. It could swing around and hit New York City. It could swing around and hit DC. Totally complete destruction. We don't know. How do you restart a government if you have a where do you hold government if your entire nation's capital is completely destroyed? I don't know. I don't know what they do.
Wow. Yeah, right.
No, so they should have opened it up when we told them to. They were planning on colonizing the timeline and just jumping back and forth, but we synchronized everything and sealed the exits. Now it's almost time to collect. I mean, I didn't even think about how close we are to the day that the flood started, the anniversary of the flood.
Yeah, that's 30. So the 30 days is Thursday for the government.
Right.
So the government
That's
30 days is on Thursday.
and that's the same day the flood started.
Wow.
Noah sealed the doors of the ark on the 30th, and the flood it started trickling down, raining, and by Friday, total loss. So these people are playing with fire again. Did we? So that's what energetically, that's what Halloween symbolizes. That's why people wear the costumes to symbolize all these people getting flooded away. And then it's followed
Mm.
by All Saints Day, which is on the 1st. And that is a commemoration of all those people who died. Because the way that the Bible works is you're not going to kill a bunch of people and then not have a memoriam for them. It doesn't work like that. So that's what the first is. It commemorates the death of all of these people, all of these saints who died. They could be saints one day if they do the right thing. Because remember, the people that were on the earth when Noah was, because Noah actually, he went around the whole world. There's another thing. Noah went around the whole world. It in 100 years. He was 124 years or something like that when the flood started. For like, no, I'm sorry. He went around the world for 120 years, telling people to repent for 120 years. Then when he started building the boat, I think it took him like 4 or 5 years to build the boat. And he was still telling people, repent, stop being so wicked, give up all of this murder and this chaos. Like, y'all have to stop it. It's too much. And the people just laughing at him. Oh yeah, old man Noah, look, he's building his boat again.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is what they did. And
Uh-huh.
so, and everybody was laughing at him till it started to rain. Then it started and it started and it kept going and it didn't stop. I think it rained for like 30 days or something. It was not this was not a short amount of, and all the flood stories, one thing you know that make you know this story is true, all the flood story, every culture has a flood story, number 1, and all the flood stories are the same.
Mm.
Every culture has a flood story, and all of the flood stories are the same. They're exactly the same. So yeah, this is not a joke. This is not joke time. I said don't test my gangster. This is not, because I know the
Uh-huh.
I know the work the book. The book says what's going to happen. I didn't make it up. I'm just quoting from the book what the Bible said is going to happen. It's happened before. That means it can happen again. And yes, God said He wasn't going to um destroy everything by flood. It was going to be by fire next time. Okay, but we're going backwards. Remember this whole thing, how the cycle ended, how the cycle began is how the cycle has to end. So whatever God made that promise that there was never going to be another flood wasn't telling the truth. Or rather, the people are not interpreting that scripture right, because how things start, they have to end the same way they started. So if this cycle, whatever this cycle is, started with the flood, that means it has to end with a flood. You're not getting around that. So I don't know what their plan is. Whatever their big genius plan is, it's a very good thing that we ask for no unnecessary pain and suffering and no unnecessary loss of life. Because if not for holding that frequency of the new earth to have people be able to learn the lessons without suffering, it's probably the only thing that's saving anybody. Because everybody else just wants everyone to die.
Yep.
Which is horrible.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I never got to crisis management. Let me just say a few things about that.
Yep.
The first thing you have to do if things seem to be getting out of control, meaning they starting to spiral, like you have one bad day and then that bad day leads to another bad day and then that bad day leads to 10 more bad days, and so you are getting into crisis mode. Okay, sometimes you may not notice how bad things are, which is why the breathing is important. When you listen to your breathing, like again through doing the breathing exercises or literally just stopping and listening to you breathe, it brings you back into your body at the present moment. Okay, I use this technique a lot when I have dreams that are like weird and I'm like, okay, I don't know who this is, I don't know why this is going on, get me out of here. I start to listen to my breathing. I just do it naturally, but I realize that's what it is. Like I start to listen to my breathing and it wakes me up, so it brings you back into the present moment. Okay, and so when things start to like spiral out, like the sooner you catch the crisis, the better. So when you have one bad day, you need to do something to reset that bad day. If you have a bad 15 minutes, you need to do something pretty immediate to reset that 15 minutes. Doesn't matter what it is. Like there's any number of things you can do, but you need to do something. You cannot allow things to spiral out of control. That's again back to this whole comment of some people are too stupid to be poor. Like poor people understand you can't let things go out of control for too long because you don't have that long to solve it. But people who have never had to experience this type of chaos which is coming, they may wait until, you know, the demons are like sexually assaulting them in their sleep to say, hey, I might need to get some help. No. The demon crept up on you slowly, right? It didn't just like end up in the bed with you. It courted you and you said yes. You don't know how you said yes, but you said yes, and that's how you ended up getting sexually assaulted by a demon. This is what, like in the spiritual realm and physical realm, is the same thing. Like you gave some kind of consent because they're not allowed in your energy if you don't give consent, which is why another part of this is important to constantly be cleansing your energy, especially right now because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So when things start to get out of control, you need to immediately regain control of the situation. You cannot let things spiral out and then just like wait to clean up the mess later because that might not be an option. So that's the very first thing. The second thing is when things do start to spiral out of control, the first thing you should do once you realize that things are spiraling out is that you need to look for resources. This could be a person to talk to. This could be money or whatever it is. This could be like music or whatever it is. You look for a resource. I always recommend people, but you immediately tap into whatever resource you can. So like for me, like when things were spiraling out of control, I would call my dad. Okay, I need to call my dad or I need to call somebody and talk me off of this bridge, right? Because I'm about to jump off this bridge right now if someone doesn't talk me down. So reach into your resource bag. This is why you have to have a community. When you have a community, there's multiple people to reach out to. When you don't have a community, there's nobody to reach out to. And so you want to tap into your resources. That's why, again, it's a good idea to invest in local groups, local clubs, local churches, whatever. You need to have a community of people you can tap into if you need some emotional support. A lot of people don't have money, most people have time. Okay, because they don't value time the same way they value money. So you want to make sure you have people who are willing to emotionally invest into you, okay, as your resources. The next step would be to identify the problem. 9 times out of 10, whatever the problem appears to be is not what the problem really is. So for me, I always review my actions and say, okay, why is this really making me upset? I know it's not, like, I automatically say it's not the person. So it's not the person. What in the situation is causing me to be upset? So like my old man, like, well, I had an issue, but what I realized is that my problem was that I invest a lot of time in what I put into my body, like what I listen to, what I eat, what I wear, like what I'm consuming in general. I put a lot of energy into curating what I consume, and he does it. And so like I find it to be unfair that I'm spending my time to curate my life and somebody else is not doing that, but then they want to make fun of me for my emphasis and my energy on my curation. And it's because it's not fair. And so is that so then once you identify what the real problem is, the next part of that is determine, is that a me problem or is that a somebody else problem? And in my case, most of the time it's not a me problem because I've already done my internal work, right? So I've already identified where I cause problems, where I cause chaos, where I'm out of alignment and all of that. So 9 times out of 10, it's not a me problem. No, there's nothing wrong with me making the conscious effort to curate my life. That is actually a good thing. And nobody's going to talk me out of that. So once you know like what it is in that regard, like if it's you or if it's the other person, if it's the other person, then you have to assume that they're possessed, because nobody in their right mind, like nobody who is totally unpossessed, would find whatever it is that you want, in my case, curating my life so that I can live a good life, to be something problematic. The only entity that would have a problem with me having a good life is a deceiver and its minions or whatever. So then once you identify, okay, it's not me, or something I did, it's not really the person, it's whatever this entity is. And this entity is 9 times out of 10, you can chop it up to the deceiver because that's pretty much how it works. And so, but you have to go through the process, because once you identify as a deceiver, the way that you deal with the deceiver is you affirm reality. The reality is, I am 100% allowed to curate my life however I want my life to be. The deceiver doesn't have a say. The creator is the only one that I answer to. Only God can judge me, or goddess. Only goddess can judge me, or God, whoever. None of these other people can judge me. So it doesn't matter what they think. And so you, at that point, when you get to that point, you cut off the energetic tie that they have tied into you. You have successfully cut that cord. And from there, just continue to affirm reality and work with your resources to come from out of the crisis. So for me, when I had to move out of my other house and move into this house, I reached out to the priest at the church where I was going. I wasn't even like, I was a catechumen, but I hadn't been baptized or anything. I reached out to him. I asked him if he had resources. He had a resource. I talked to the resource. The resource was able to get me someplace to stay, and that's how I ended up in this house. So I tapped into my resources and I was able to resolve my issue from there. Now, has this been a perfect solution? No. And that's another part of it. Don't sacrifice the perfect for the good enough. Is it better to live in a house than on the street? Absolutely. Sometimes do I think that? Not really. But like when I'm stomping around on like water bugs, but this is Florida, so they're always in the house. But sometimes it doesn't feel that way. But in reality, in objective reality, it's always better to have a roof over your head than to not have a roof over your head. So don't sacrifice the good for the perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Like it's that building up to being making things basically perfect takes time. And that's the part that is based on like your chart and some of the other things that's going on in your life and all of that. So you have to sometimes just accept the good enough in lieu of the perfect, and understand that eventually you will get to the perfect, especially once you hit that 36 age range. That's when a lot of changes start to happen really fast and the energy all changes, and it can be quite difficult to navigate through. But by the time you get to 40, you have a much easier time navigating through the energy. And so I feel like now at 40, I'm much closer to being in my perfect scenario than I was at 36. Even though at 36, I was in a better living condition. I had money in the bank, like probably almost $200,000. I had money. I wasn't worried about anything. I had my nice car and all of that. I feel I'm more closer to perfection now than I was at that time. So that's my story, and that's how I suggest you deal with crises.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's laying it out the way that you laid it out is very helpful because like if you notice at least how you laid it out, like it's very it's very simple. Like it's
Yes,
not like a, oh, you got to jump through all these different hoops. It's just the difficulty really, I guess in some ways, it's doing the work. It's
yes,
like taking responsibility for your life, taking responsibility for the
right,
fact that you are the creator. And so if,
right,
whatever's happening, just because something might be interpreted as bad, does not mean that one is necessarily going in the wrong direction or doing something bad.
right,
And that's where having faith in both um knowing that you're doing what is in your highest good, and that is in
right,
many ways an aspect of our own internal self-love, because really if we, as we invest in loving ourselves, our compass, our internal compass improves dramatically, because
right,
that allows us to, as what you were saying with managing the crisis, the level of the love that we hold for ourselves internally is going to basically dictate the quality of our crisis response, the quality of how we're
exactly,
going to respond in terms of a crisis. A lot of people, because they don't love themselves, when a crisis comes about, they don't have the resources, they don't have the resources, they don't have the capacities, they don't have the conception, so they run into abuse, or into
right,
being taken advantage of, or into these low vibrational energetic states that just keep the cycle going, keep the,
right,
because um and I see this very common in terms of with relationships, is relationships always seem to have this like reoccurring pattern. And
yeah,
instead of looking at the reoccurring pattern and embracing it, embracing what am
right,
I being taught? What instead of getting so worked up and so emotional about the situation, like let me embrace it. Let me really open up and
right,
absorb it. And it might not feel good, but let me enjoy it. Let me really enjoy what I'm being taught. And obviously if we're able to get ourselves to a point where we can at least smile and enjoy whatever the experience might be, that's how we learn. If
right,
we're in a science class and we hate what we're learning, we're not going to learn shit. We're not
right,
There's no amount of technique of how to learn is going to help you learn if you hate what is right in front of you. So as we allow ourselves to embrace reality totally, the crisis management becomes in many ways effortless. Like
right,
what would bring us down a few years ago now actually brings us up, elevates us.
right,
What would destroy our reality emotionally in the past, now we don't even, oh, it happened? I didn't even see it.
right,
I didn't even realize that it was supposed to be such a big deal, because we're elevating to be able to manage higher and higher amounts of energy. And as a result,
right,
our crisis management gets to a point where we're well positioned for the crisis, right? The crisis
right,
comes, and instead of saying, "Oh shit, I was not ready," it's, "Yes, let's go," because now I know that the crisis shows up. Yeah, I'm positioned to take advantage to the max. In the
right,
same way that these elite have been taking advantage of these crises, where that's where they make their money, That's where they position themselves to just completely dominate whole countries, ecosystems, towns, cities, economies, people, groups, all of that. Now we're doing the same, but we're not doing it for our lustful desires of, I want to make more money, or, I want to be in power, I want to have influence, I want people to love me, I want people to respect me, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not doing it for any of that. We're doing it because we're serving the Lord. We're doing it
Right.
because that's what we are called to do, and we're doing it to serve the Lord. And by serving the Lord, we're doing it in alignment, because that's what's most important. It's not about whether you win or not. What's most important is the way that the win is done, in terms
Right.
of the way
How
the
you
way
play the
that we
game.
win.
It's not
Yes.
important how you win if you win or lose, but how you play the game.
Yep.
That's the saying. Yeah.
And if you're playing the game in alignment, you're always going to win. Always,
Exactly.
always. There is
The
the
house
but
always wins.
yes, yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Uh-huh. And yet everyone else is out here trying to build their own house, and it's like the house of God is right here.
Exactly.
We're in the house of God, but you guys are out here like going to your own corners, building your own house, trying to act like that house is the one that's gonna win. Meanwhile, a hurricane comes through and just fucking destroys everything.
Exactly.
And I think what's happening with the hurricane in the Caribbean is really symbolism in terms of what's going on in the reality currently. The hurricane is
Right.
coming through and demolishing everything,
Yep.
everything. And then here we are out of nowhere, picking up the infrastructure that is still there and just
Right.
just taking it over. Just
Right.
completely taking it over. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how things develop in the next few months when it comes to you being the banker, because everyone's going to want you. Everyone wants to be close to the banker, because the banker
Of
got the
course.
money, the banker got the dough, the banker
Of course.
got what everybody wants. And so because the hurricane came through, how are they going to rebuild? Energetically, in this whole reality, how are people going to rebuild? How are people gonna figure out how to save their businesses, save their
Right.
family, save their houses from potential collapse, basically?
Right.
Well, you go to the banker.
Right. Right. Let me walk you through it. When what's your date of birth and location? Like, let's see what you're supposed to be doing and get you in alignment with your own energy instead of you larping in somebody else's energy. Like, that's where it
Yeah, or just
starts.
like, oh, I work at this company just because, like, that's, it's prestigious,
Right.
or it's paying me well. Well, if you're depressed, if you're not happy, if things are not if everything just keeps moving slower, there's somewhere that you got to go to get set straight.
Right.
And that's and in many ways, like, that's, I mean, that's really the point of the Holy Imperium. It's just a physical manifestation. I mean, so the reason why the Holy Imperium came about, and really, I think what we're discussing about is what I call the hyperstructure. So the hyperstructure is basically the energetic bank of the Holy Imperium.
Right.
The hyperstructure is what holds the investments to all these narratives.
Right.
Raw milk, the primal diet, sun gazing, sunning your balls, grounding, mewing. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. That are narratives that are in alignment, that, if you notice, are probably the hottest narratives right now, and they're not slowing down.
No.
They're on an absolute tear to conquer over reality. All that energy has to go somewhere, and I couldn't manage it because I was literally going crazy trying to manage all of this. And I was going insane. I already have my own energy that I'm dealing with, and then now I was managing the investments, the insane amounts of it. Like, I'm just a human being. I need a organization. I need an entity or entities to be able to manage that, and that's why I I built out the hyperstructure to give my investments into all these narratives to the hyperstructure, to be able to now begin to store. Right now, it's just to store the energy. Very soon, we're going to tap into that energy.
Right.
That energy has not been touched. Everything I've done has just been just purely my own energy. The energy of the empire has not been touched, and it just continues to grow. Now, and so with what you were saying in terms of on the banking side, um, oh, okay. So the reason why this even came about was because I was trying to figure out how the fuck do we get all of the humanity to serve God?
Right.
Because they're not. They're like in the way things were going, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. They're whether they're suffering or not, they don't care to serve him
Right.
at all. So the whole idea of the hyperstructure was, well, if we can build a incentive mechanism to make it so highly incentivized to serve God, they're going to do it. They're going to be
Right.
forced to do it because they're going to be so incentivized to support uh, a structure that is aligned to God. And that's where the hyperstructure came about. And that's kind of, we talked about um, the way that the energy is going to flow and work, and the credit
Right.
system, because now everyone's going to be incentivized. Everyone is becoming incentivized highly to get in alignment. And on top of that, we have a very, very rough, big stick that we hit people with if they're
Right.
not in alignment. So it's
Right.
like, hey, the incentives are to a point where you either serve God with this highly incentivized system that is going to only elevate you, or that's fine, don't do it, and you're gonna get hit. And not only once, not only twice, but for the rest of your life. You're just gonna keep getting hit. Just keep getting hit and hit and hit and hit and hit. So we've basically, in many ways, created a monopoly over reality. And
Wow.
the system hasn't even really come out yet because it's just the energy is absorbing. Like, I have not tapped into the hyperstructure whatsoever. And on top of that, now here you are coming in as the banker, because the hyperstructure is like, that is not the bank. It is part of the bank. The bank has access to the energy in that, but really the hyperstructure is like the legitimacy. It's like it's the centerpiece of why anybody would support. Like, that's the source of the power, because it's energy. So when you have the source of the energy, everybody has to, the whole reality has to revolve around the 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 massive sun. The sun, it's when you have such intense gravitational pull energetically, everything has to surround it. Everything has to, so, and this is the hyperstructure. The hyperstructure is that centerpiece of source of energy that everything is now being forced to surround itself. The bank is basically like the highway, the transportation system that
Right.
goes from the hyperstructure into the real world,
It's
into
the
the physical
infrastructure.
reality.
It's the infrastructure. It's the bridge.
Yes, right. Uh-huh. Exactly. Yeah, yes.
It's the
Uh-huh.
bridge. It's the bridge.
Right.
Wow. That's fascinating. Because that's what we need. Like, you have to be able to bridge this energy from this larger structure into basically like how they bring electricity into people's houses. I mean, which is a lie how they do it. But anyway, the point of the matter is they can still bring electricity into people's houses, and you just have to be able to bridge that um from the larger scale into the smaller scale. And it's not hard. Like, the thing I really like to impress upon people when I talk about things like this is that it's not hard, it's not complicated, it doesn't even have a lot of moving pieces. You have to have the will to get it done. You have to have the energy to direct whatever it is into exactly what you want it to look like. And that's, I feel like, again, the passion, that's what's missing. Like, people don't have a passion to be successful right now. There's no passion to win this battle, actually. On the side of humanity, most people have just given up. And so when you have the passion on your side, you pretty much can do anything as well.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody, very, very few people are passionate. And it's just, because the system in many ways has like sucked them dry. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many people I know in college had their curiosity like just stomped out of them. Now they're still, the thing is they still have it. That's, you know, it's like it's like, sure, yeah, the system is this big powerful structure, or was at least this
Right.
powerful structure that maintains significant control over humanity. But as you're saying, like it's it's becoming so intense now in terms of the suffering, in terms of the misalignment, when it's properly provided, as you just did when it comes to managing a crisis. Like when we keep putting this out there in terms of how simple the plan is, how simple like the mechanism is to manage a crisis, and as well as all these other things that one can do, is then now they know the path. Because
Right.
if you don't know the path, how are you gonna figure it out? How are you gonna do any, like, it's like if you don't know how to shoot a basketball, how are you gonna be able to get the ball in the bucket?
Right.
It's just we won't know. Obviously, we're gonna try throwing it this way, that way, but once you truly are shown the way, well, now you have no excuse. And that's, I think,
Right.
the big thing that's happening now is people are being compelled to basically come back, and they're realizing that, like, and this is, I think, why in many ways, like, I seem to trigger people significantly, because I know for a fact, the moment you get in contact with my energy, you don't have any more excuses. There are no
Right.
excuses. There's sure, people can procrastinate, people can make excuses, but they always end up coming back, because what is in alignment, what is aligned to God, in many ways really never changes.
Right.
It's always like the way, there's only one way.
Right.
There's not infinite amounts of ways to get to God. Now, yes, of course, everyone's going to have a different story, but the way is always the same. And what's so just, I mean, for me, it's mind-boggling, is we have monopolized the way.
Right.
Now, I'm not here interested in putting no toll booths, because that's not the point. But essentially, because nobody has or had been doing the work, it allowed us to basically start walking the way, look around and say, "Yo, there's nobody here.
Right.
There's nobody in the way."
Right.
So, okay, well, let me like let me figure out how to build a bridge, a mechanism that incentivizes people to go this way, which
Right.
is the way.
Right.
But because everyone's so gone, like they're so far gone, they're so just like, just who knows where the fuck they are. There's no one else saying, "Oh, my way, we're gonna build it this way, we're gonna build it that way." No, we are the only ones in this way, which is the way that everyone is gonna be forced to go to walk down. And we have the ability, we have been given the honor and the privilege to basically build it out in our vision, which is his vision.
Right. Exactly.
That's what is just for me, it's like, it's us. It's us, and that, I think that's why people out there are so annoyed, upset, just, like, angry, that it's like, "Why did it have to be them, God?
Right. Of
Why
any
did it have to
of
be them?"
all the people, they're the ones. Like, yeah, I
Like,
mean,
fuck
it's
them,
we
fuck the that's what they were
did
saying. They're like, "Fuck them, I don't wanna follow them, no, no," and then as they do that, it's just they're
right.
getting hit
They're
and
getting
hit and
pummeled.
hit, like, that they're getting the pride and their ego, what is it, what does it say, like, knocking the Sonic coins? That's
Jesus. Sonic reference.
they're
Sonic reference, everyone.
they're
Sonic
getting their
reference.
Sonic coins beat out of
Yep.
them,
Yep.
until
Yep.
they have no pride and no ego,
Oh, they're
and
rings. The
finally,
Sonic rings. I'm sorry, they weren't coins, it was rings. Yeah,
okay, yes, yeah,
rings.
um,
I'm sorry, I had to interrupt with that
and it's
because the
intense,
nerds.
it's an intense, and because the thing is, like, I'm so focused in what we are doing, that I don't have time to look back and worry or even fixate on any of that. And yet it keeps coming back
Right.
because I can feel that the people from the past are like shit. Like, how
Right.
the fuck fuck, I gotta make right with him. I
Right.
gotta make right. I gotta make right with the banker.
Right.
Without the banker's help, nothing. It doesn't matter how small or how big of whatever the person might be trying to build. You don't have connection to the banker, you ain't gonna do shit.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you could do a little bit, over there, enjoy, go hide away and build your shit over there. But like if you're not in alignment with the banker, ain't nothing gonna work. And that's I mean, today, Bill Gates saying basically climate change like doesn't matter.
What? Get
Yeah,
out of here.
so he said basically like it's not as bad
Oh
as
my
like
goodness.
as it like as basically as I used to say. So he said over here,
Oh my gosh.
he said Bill Gates makes major climate change reversal after years of doomerism. People will be able to live and thrive. That's what he said.
Yeah, he don't have a choice, but of course we'll be able to live and thrive. He never wanted to be able to say that. That's because we took control of the entities, we took control of the narrative. Now we're taking control of the bank. What do they have left? What do they have left if
Yeah,
they
they
don't
just
have
gotta
the
get on their knees. They gotta
yeah?
get on their knees and beg that you give them a pass. That
Right.
you
They don't have no cred. Again, we have the entities. So no
Right.
they ain't got no motion. They don't have any motion, and they got to come to me to get. And I have to give them a pass. I'm not giving these
Uh-huh.
people a pass.
Yep.
I
Yes,
I
right.
made a video and I was like, if I can, I said I can make one of those little boogospheres that they found. Some billionaire needs to just give me a room and let me work on it, and I'm gonna figure it out. But no, you can't weaponize it. So they're not gonna take that. That's the requirement. We're not building weapons to kill people. So if you want to
Yep.
weaponize something to kill someone, nah, player, we don't play them games over here. We're about living. Living my life like it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. Yeah, we having a good time. We're not over here, no dooming over here. So you can't
Yeah, we
think, yeah, we're
celebrating.
celebrating. I said it in my thread. I'm like, we got a big old party coming up with this Halloween thing, and then we'll have our proper feast Thanksgiving, because it just so happens to line up with when Saturn goes direct, and we always do a 22-day something when Saturn goes direct. And this year it's a feast, because the last thing we did was a fast. It's going to depend on when that direct time goes, whether it's going to be a feast or a fast. But this year it's a feast. So we got a 22-day feast coming up that coincides with Thanksgiving and Christmas. I mean, we got party time to go. That's why it's like, no, we don't. Now the bank has to be open. We have to open the bank because we need money for the gifts. When you throw a feast,
Yep.
when you throw
Yep.
a feast, there has to be gifts. Everyone gets a gift. You have to set the table for all the people to come. So we got to start. I mean, when I said I do an operation every year. The last 3 years, the operations have been defensive in nature. This is an offensive operation. This is like, we want to make sure that everybody can get to the party in one piece. We're not going to let them derail the entities on the way to the party. So this is an offensive operation as opposed to a defensive operation, which I've not run an offensive operation before. So I think this will be a lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, but
And it's funny because what was it, like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, we basically, like, just fully retreated?
yeah, it was like, no, we're not. Mm-mm.
And so now they're really down, like, the whole system
Right,
is fucking
right.
collapsed, and now we're like, "Okay, time to move forward."
Right, exactly. Move forward, and it's not moving forward with, we're fighting these people. We're using our.
Uh-huh.
We put out a little
They're
bit of.
down.
Yeah,
They're down.
we put down a little bit of energy to protect life in Jamaica, and that was it. They thought we were going to put our energy into getting the government open, into this
Yeah,
stopping their
right?
war. We are going to put energy into stopping their war because that's got a dollar amount on it. So that's another set of energy,
Uh-huh.
that we will put our. But we're not putting any energy into their narratives. And that is a critical blow. Humanity has always pushed their narratives. So if Bill Gates is retreating from the climate change
Crazy.
narrative, these people like that Volcaholic girl, like I don't know what she's gonna do, because all these people are talking about it's climate change, the planet's getting hotter, and I'm like, no, it's the sun, actually. Number one. Number two, it's magic. Like, y'all can't tell magic when you see it. This stuff is not natural. You can't have 1,000-year flood every year. That's not how it works. Like, how many times do you have to have once in a lifetime things before you start saying maybe it's not once in a lifetime? Maybe they lied. Number one. Number two, maybe it's magic that's gone out of control. I think that this hurricane is the first time that they're seeing that they don't have control over the magic. They didn't believe me when I said we shut down their magic. Like, in 2023, when we freed the spirits, we shut down their magic. They didn't believe it because certain things were still working, because I didn't have a structure to run over top of the system that was already running. But with you and the Holy Emperium and the hyperstructure and all this stuff, we have a structure that can run this system without their structure. So in my contract, that's what I said. Let the magic run the way it's running, because I knew they were using magic to run the system, but I didn't know all the pieces of it. So I couldn't figure out, like, which parts to cancel, which part. I said, so just don't allow the structure to collapse right now. Like, not until something else is set up. So here you come with this hyperstructure and all this stuff you already have set up. Well, that's where the energy goes. So when I said, okay, you're the king, you're the emperor, this is what we have to do, this is how we have to move forward. Hey, all of that energy that was being used to run the system in place has collapsed. They've never had to deal with their narrative collapsing. And it's all collapsed. And now all of the energy
just
is in the hyperstructure.
Yeah, it's so insane. Like, he sold that narrative, that climate change narrative, at a
Yes.
huge loss, because that's him selling the narrative. That's him literally, like, if you had in the stock market and you had stock in a big company and selling it for like pennies on the dollar, he sold it for nothing. Yeah,
Crazy.
he sold it for nothing, and because he sold it for nothing, well, who won? Who's on the other side?
Right.
Us.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's the only first narrative he's going to be selling, because now the elite are freaking out saying, Bill Gates, yo, bro, what's going on? What do you mean? You're the top dog in charge of climate change.
Right.
You've been putting billions of dollars the last like couple decades pushing this narrative. Now you're telling us that everything's like everything's awesome?
Right.
What?
Everything is awesome. I'm sorry. I just I can't help it. Go ahead. Sorry. My random outburst. But that's what you're right. Everything is awesome. It's all great, boss. Now what? What happened to that? That's
They're like, so then who do we follow, Bill Gates?
right, exactly.
Who's in charge now? Because clearly you're not. Clearly he's not.
Right, yeah.
Clearly he's not.
They're slowly but surely bending the knee. But here's the thing. They cannot, we call it cleaving with pride. Like, they're cleaving to us, our hyperstructure, but it's still with pride. We won't accept that kind of insolence. You have to get down on your knees and grovel.
Uh-huh.
Like, none of
Yep.
this, oh, well,
Literally, yes.
maybe climate change was wrong. No, that's not good enough. Tell everybody
Yeah,
you
yeah.
lied.
Uh-huh. And put your money now where your mouth is.
Exactly. Make
Like,
it
put
right.
your money into regenerative farming,
Right.
into raw milk, like
Right.
into supporting the wildlife,
Right.
into helping to plant trees that are actually like native to the area, and not just like monocrop trees and saying, oh, we're gonna help with the oxygen and this and that.
Well,
Like,
how about they plant female trees? Because they tore down all the female trees when they came to this country. That's why we don't have free fruit and stuff everywhere. When they came to America, America was the land of milk and honey. Literally, there was fruits, there was vegetables, there was everything everywhere. Did I ever tell you the story about how I found that cotton tree in West Virginia that's supposed to only
no,
be
no, I don't think
okay?
so.
So I had theorized that Black people never picked cotton, right? But I couldn't prove it. I was just making the theory. I was like, we didn't pick no cotton. That don't even make sense. Because when I was in elementary school, like I said, I'm from DC, so we took a field trip to Mount Vernon. And at Mount Vernon, they have this thing where you can go into the garden and literally like pick cotton. And so I'm like, they got a school full of little Black kids in this field picking this cotton. Like, I just, in my mind, I was like, there's no way that people was doing this. Like, this don't even make sense. So that was when I was little. So I was just doing some research and I was like, I bet cotton does grow on trees, right? So I looked it up and there is cotton that grows on trees. And so I was talking about this and I briefly remembered my dad talking about this stuff that falls in his yard every year. And so when I went to West Virginia to see him, I was like, yeah, Dad, didn't you say something about like cotton falling from the tree or something? He was like, yeah, a certain time of year, the tree gets full of cotton and it falls on the yard. And he said, when it falls like that, when he comes out in the morning and looks at it, it reflects. It reflects the sky. So it's literally like a mirror, right? So I'm like, Dad, when does that when does that happen? He was like, oh, he didn't exactly tell me when. I was like, okay, here's what I want you to do. Next time the cotton falls from the tree, you call me, right? I'll come up there if I have to and pick it up. But because he was bagging it up and just throwing it in the trash because it's messing up his yard and he's a
Yeah, of
boomer, you know
course.
what I mean? And I'm like, no, Dad, people will pay for this. No, we can use this to like stuff pillows or whatever. But again, when I looked the tree up, the tree is native to Mexico. It don't even supposed to grow in West Virginia. And yet they have 100 to 200-year-old cotton
Oh,
tree
wow.
producing cotton still. Like, again, the math isn't mathing. So I was like, yeah, imagine now back into our time machine. Imagine it's, the 1870s and this is before the cotton gin or it is after the cotton gin. And so you have the days where you take the cotton the market to sell it or whatever. And so you have these, because most of the slaves in America were actually white. So you have all these white slaves that was out in the fields picking all this cotton and stuff. And then you have these Negroes roll up with big bags of cotton, big, and you're like, well, how'd you do that? They wouldn't tell them how they did it. Obviously, they wouldn't tell them. They would just say, hey, just give me my money, right? So they sold their cotton and they went about their business. And these white people think, oh, I need bigger fields. I need a more, what is that weird stuff they put in the soil and
Fertilizer?
fertilizer and all. No. It's a tree. You don't need more fertilizer. What you need to do is grow this cotton tree. And you have all the cotton you need.
Wow.
And it's like that with everything. There's a tree called the breadfruit tree, right? The breadfruit tree. So I also think that we didn't eat potatoes here in this country because there was no need for potatoes. Like, there's literally no need for potatoes, even sweet potatoes. We would have used squash. I have the delicata squash. I made it yesterday. It tastes just like sweet potato. I could make a pie with it. No one would notice. It's just not quite as orange as a sweet potato, but they have white sweet potatoes, which are actually delicious. But because potatoes are actually not really good for you because the whole nightshade thing. It's a lot of stuff with the potatoes. So I don't think we grew potatoes. So I was like, well, how do we, or like wheat, like we didn't use wheat the way that other, like in the Europe and whatever, we didn't need wheat because we had breadfruit trees. And so what a breadfruit is, it's a little spiky thing. It looks kind of like everybody's eating it now. I can't remember, but it's a little spiky fruits, and they grow a lot of them in Jamaica. Actually, that's where I had it from for the first time, was someone from someone who lived in Jamaica. So it's a little spiky fruit. It grows on a tree. One breadfruit tree can produce 450 pounds of breadfruit a year.
Whoa.
One tree. Okay. So you get it out the tree, you roast it like the whole thing, like you would do a squash. You roast the whole thing. Then you split it open and you take the pieces out. They're like little chunks and it tastes exactly like bread. You fry it up. That's how I had mine. I had mine fried. You could powder it and use it to make pancakes mix and stuff like that. Anything you can do with flour, you can do with breadfruit. But it grows from a tree, so it doesn't have that whole wheat thing. You know how people are wheat intolerant, gluten free, and all this stuff. Yeah, this is a fruit that grows from a tree. You don't need that. And so kind of things that need to be reintroduced to this country. So when they came here, they cut the think of the story of Johnny Appleseed. This is another thing that I always thought about, right? Because they say what in that northeast area like Boston and Boston's in Massachusetts, but Maine, New Hampshire, all that, Vermont, all of that, right? They say they didn't really have access to enough clean water, which doesn't make any sense. So I believe it's a lie now. But I once read a statistics that said in the late 1800s, the number one beverage consumed was hard cider. Everybody drank hard cider, because when you ferment something, you get rid of the bad bacteria or whatever. And so that was one of the reasons was due to how many apple trees was going around. Now, how many apple trees do you see? They cut down all of the female trees that bear the fruit. So that's what Johnny Appleseed was doing. He was going around the country, whatever the country consisted of at that time, planting these seeds because he noticed they was cutting down all the trees. So another thing with the breadfruit, I'm sorry, this is important. With the breadfruit tree produces natural latex. And so if you build a boat from a breadfruit tree, like stump or whatever, basically you've got a waterproof boat, which is insane, like impossible. So you can produce this tree, you can let it bear fruit, and you can also tap it to get the latex out of it and make non-latex stuff. So they don't think people were advanced. That's not possible, because if I have a tree that can give me latex gloves so that I can dig around in the ochre and get the red ochre to make makeup or to make this or to dig and get gold or to I have gloves now. Like that makes the society far more advanced than they can calculate. And since it's a natural product, when they go to do these excavations, they wouldn't find stuff like that. So now I think a lot of these archaeological digs and stuff like that, they're looking for the remains of stuff. But if things are natural, you're not going to find remains because it's just going to disintegrate over time. It's not good. You don't need to make stuff that's going to last forever if you got it naturally from a tree that you had everywhere.
Yeah, so we're gonna have wooden cars soon. Disintegratable wooden cars.
Exactly. Why
Like
wouldn't
the
I have
Flintstones.
exactly?
Like the
I mean,
Flintstones.
they tried to make the Flintstones seem like it was primitive. No, no, no. They was fun. I used to love that show. I'd be like, this is the Stone Age. They was doing everything. They had chairs.
Uh-huh.
They had
Yeah.
cars. They had the exercise so the car moved with your feet. Look at these. I mean, little electronic bicycles. I also theorize that a lot of the technology, we probably did have advanced technology, especially on this land, but again, it was made of natural materials. Just like
Mm-hmm.
that bogosphere, what are they noticing? It is increasing in weight because it's lowering in density. When you have something that I've said a lot of times, they had tablets, right? But what if the tablets were actually like our iPads, but they were higher density? So that way, as they came down to lower density, all you were left with was, what looked like a clay tablet. But when it was in a high density, it was actually like this super high tech tablet. Like that's entirely possible. These people don't know anything. That's what I know for sure. They don't know anything, and they lie about what they do know.
Yeah, it's been it's like the kids that have been cheating through school and then